Oops, book avalanche. Hi, it's Lori, and I'm here today with a book haul. I just recently went to visit my parents, and then I went to a homeschool conference in the Denver metro area. And it kind of turned into a book buying binge for me. So, some of those books I'll be showing you later in my homeschool book haul that will be coming. I still have some things making their way towards me, so that might be another week or two. But these are kind of just the books that I bought because I like books. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with kind of some classic literature type things. So most of these books were approximately 25 cents to 50 cents. I found some really great deals. I think the most expensive one was $5. So that's where we're at. So I picked up a copy of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf by Edward Albee. When I put this into the library thing, it said that I had a duplicate thing, so apparently I may have bought this book more than once. It's actually a play. I don't know much about it, but I know the title, and it seems like it falls under the category of classics. I don't really know. The next one was one that Charlotte wanted, Pygmalion by George Bernard Shaw. This one cost me a whopping $1.30, but I bought it because Charlotte really wanted it. So most of you probably know that Pygmalion is the play that My Fair Lady is based on. So that's that one. I also picked up Ethan Frome by Edith Wharton. Again, know nothing about this book other than the title, and it seemed like one that I should probably buy since it was like a quarter. And then this next one was a little more expensive. I picked up this is a Barnes & Noble Classics edition of Anna Karenina by Leah Tolstoy. This I got at an ARC thrift store, and it was originally $4.99, but it was the white tag day, and it had a white tag, so I got it for half off. I've been meaning to read Anna Karenina. I have it on my Kindle. I find Russian literature really hard to read on Kindles because you just can't see the end in sight. So at least having a paper copy, I can say, okay, I know how much more I have to get through. So, very silly, I know, but whatever. My last classic that I picked up was Jude the Obscure by Thomas Hardy. This is an interesting edition. It's a Masters and Masterpieces. It appears to be a reprint of the Wessex edition published by Macmillan and Company in London in 1912. So it's a reprint of an older edition, but I just really liked kind of the big format. It has been annotated some, so I don't know. I love Jude the Obscure. I love Thomas Hardy. It's just one of those, yeah, this was obviously going to come home with me because I have never read a Thomas Hardy book I didn't love, and it's been a number of years since I read Jude the Obscure, but I loved it, so I'm guessing I still will. Next up, I got some mystery books kind of things. I guess I've been kind of on a mystery detective story thing recently, so this kind of goes along with it. The first one I got was called Academy Mystery Novellas Volume 1, Women Sleuths. So it has 4 short stories that have female sleuths. And because Charlotte is a big fan of mysteries, I thought she would enjoy this one. So that's why I picked that one up. I also got 2 books by Josephine Tay. Now, neither of these books feature Inspector Grant from The Daughter of Time, but I think they are both mystery novels. I have Miss Pym Disposes and Brat Farrar. I don't know how you say that. And I basically bought these because they were Josephine Tay novels, and I don't know that I've ever come across one at a used bookstore before, but these were at 2 different used bookstores in Estes Park, Colorado this weekend. So one was a thrift store and one was a used bookstore. So I'm looking forward to reading them because I really enjoyed The Daughter of Time. In books that I buy all the time, apparently, I picked up a copy of The Unfinished Tales by J.R.R. Tolkien for Charlotte, who, when she saw it, she was like, I think we already have that. And Library Thing agrees, so I apparently already have a copy of this somewhere in my house, but, sometimes you rescue books twice. This was the most expensive book, also involving Tolkien, and this is a dictionary by David Day, and it's like a leatherette bound and has just total nerd fest of a dictionary of all of Tolkien's stuff, the people and the places and the creatures, and there's illustrations inside. So Charlotte found this, and I couldn't say no, even though it was $5. It was from the library bookstore, so, it's just helping out the library there, so it's good. I also picked up a copy of Thunderstruck by Eric Larson. Again, I know very little about this book. I read the back cover and it sounded interesting, and I remember seeing some other Eric Larson books that were very highly rated, so I'm hoping this one's good, but it just, it was a quarter. I couldn't say no. I also picked up a middle grade novel. It's called Space Case, and it's about being one of the first kids to live on the moon colony, and then there's a scientist that turns up dead, and so this kid suspects that it's foul play, but nobody believes him, so he's trying to uncover a mystery. So this is Space Case by Stuart Gibbs. I don't know anything about it other than it sounded like fun. As you may know, Charlotte is a giant mythology nerd, so I found a couple of mythology type books and got them for her. So one is called Heroes, Gods, and Monsters of the Greek Myths by Bernard Evslin, maybe. And really, I picked this up just solely based on the title, and Charlotte had it in the car before I could even get it into library things, so I made her bring it out from the car while she was babysitting today, so that I could put it in. So I know she's already been reading it. I do not know how far into it she is. She does not appear to be using a bookmark, so I can't really snoop. And then I also got The Age of Fable, Stories of Gods and Heroes by Thomas Bulfinch. We have Bulfinch's Mythology. I'm hoping this is different, but I can't be 100% sure, but fables, myths, gotta have them. Kind of my nonfiction stack of books. The first one is I got a second edition copy of The Elements of Style by Strunk and White. This is another one that Library Thing tells me that I might already have somewhere in my house. I have a lot of books. It's hard to keep track. I almost bought 2 copies of this book because I know my husband has enjoyed some things by Stephen E. Ambrose before, and because one had a hardcover with a scripty title and one was block letters on just a hardback. I'm guessing the inside of this may look exactly like that other one did. I don't know, I haven't looked. And it appears to be kind of glued down, so I won't. But this is To America, Personal Reflections of an Historian. So, yeah, I didn't buy 2. Thankfully, I noticed that before I checked out. I also got myself a paperback copy of The Happiness Project by Gretchen Rubin. I enjoy Gretchen Rubin a lot. We have The Happiness Project on Audible, but I thought it might be nice for me to reread it in a physical form because I do find reading in a physical form easier personally than listening to audiobooks because I read faster than I can listen. The next one was one that Evo desperately wanted, and so I think I paid maybe $4 for it. It's called The Screenwriter's Workbook by Sid Field. Apparently, she would like to write a screenplay, so, I wasn't going to say no to a book. I hardly ever say no to books. And then this one, I was really excited to find, but I was a little sad when I got home and realized it had such kind of like damage on the bottom, but it was a quarter, so I'll get over it. But this is Stephen King on Writing, a memoir of the craft. This is the only Stephen King book I have ever really wanted to read. I don't know if I've ever read any Stephen King. I used to read some horror, but I am not a big horror reader. So if I have read Stephen King, it was probably one book, and I probably was like, yeah, this is not my thing. But I've heard very good things about his book on writing, and so I'm looking forward to reading this one. And then this one I thought I might have had a copy of, but maybe I don't, or maybe I sold it. This is Ferris and His Town by Caroline Dale Snedeker. And a lot of Caroline Dale Snedeker's These are like works of historical fiction set in Roman Greece, I think. Yeah, this one looks like it has Sparta in it. And we used a lot of these when the kids were younger in homeschooling. For history, we did a lot of living books. So the reason I had to get this one is like it's just like a paper book, like literally paper. But the books we had of hers for history were reprints that were printed in like the 90s or 2000s. And this is actually one printed in 1924. So I'm thinking this might have been an early version of these books. I'm not sure exactly when they were published, but it was just really cool to find like an old version of one of these books. I have a thing for old books. Also from the old book department, we found this. It is called A Fool's Errand by One of the Fools. And this is a book from 1880. And I am not really sure what it is exactly. It appears to be a novel, but I do not know. So, Charlotte found this. We liked the fact that it was 1880, and it's called A Fool's Errand by One of the Fools. And so we just had to pick it up for a quarter because 1880, old books. And the last thing I have for this book haul actually didn't come from a used bookstore at all. It came from our church. The pianists have been cleaning out the choir loft, and they had a bunch of free to a good home stuff after the clean out. So my girls picked up the St. Gregory Hymnal in Catholic Choir Book Complete Edition. So it's very nice because it has, you know, all the choir stuff in here. It does not seem to have piano. I mean, you could play the parts as the piano, or you could use them as parts, it looks like, for the most part, but I'm not really sure. But there's a lot of great stuff in here. I like old church music, so I'm excited to kind of go through this and, you know, have some really cool church music and in Latin. I like Latin music. It's much better than what they force us to sing at church now. I wish we would go back to these and get rid of the gather hymnals, but that's another story. So, that is my used book haul, not counting my homeschool books, which will be coming soon. Please let me know if you have any of these books or have recommendations of ones that I should get to sooner rather than later. If you like used book hauls, I seem to do a lot of them because I have a book buying problem when it comes to used books. So feel free to subscribe if you don't want to miss more book hauls, and like this to let me know you enjoy them. And I will see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye.